It's time to take a ride on the Steelers Afternoon Drive with our co-hosts, Aaron Saunders and Zachary Smith.
Welcome back to another episode of Steelers Afternoon Drive. I am Zachary Smith. That is Aaron Saunders, and do not adjust whatever you're watching this or listening to this on. We got Steelers DB here on a Monday. We told you guys on Friday. We were switching the days around a little bit. Steelers practicing on Friday. No practice today. Good time to get DB on and talk about some stuff that happened in that first week. DB, how we doing?
Doing fantastic, man. Had a good weekend. Back in the swing of things. Going to be headed to Latrobe this weekend, so I'm excited about that. But, yeah, I'm excited to be on here and talk some ball.
What a weekend it is going to be for the Steelers now.
Going to be a banger. A banger.
This is Friday nights. Looking forward to it. Alan, how we doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Fired up about this week. I have no idea what day of the week it is. Today's an off day. Feels like today should be Saturday, but it's Monday. Try to get some stuff done around the house, but yeah, my one day off camp and then back up to Latrobe tomorrow.
Okay. So I want to ask what you're looking forward to, obviously, as we get into week 2. But first things first, I want to start with DB here. As we said, wrapping up that first week, you kind of put out, I don't know why I said kind of, you put out an article talking about, are you buying or selling narratives first week of training camp. There's obviously some things that you were looking forward to seeing as well. You're not going to get answers to those within the first week, which you were looking forward to seeing. But kind of wanted to dive into that. Obviously not giving away too much of what was in there. Want people to go and read the article, of course, but did want to discuss it a little bit, maybe preview some of it, tease it, so we can get the people to go over to the site and read the article.
Yeah, I mean, spoiler alert. Just some of I always enjoy seeing the reactions and overreactions to the start of training camp. I think it's just like human nature, right? Like we're all just so starved for new football to talk about. And even though it's football in shorts, it's still sports nonetheless. And, the summer's kind of a dry time for this type of stuff. But, just reading through just some of the comments, some of the reactions from people like Alan that have been here every day, just reading through all the analysis and, seeing the highlight videos go across social media, which seems like the Steelers are starting to crack down on a little bit with that because I didn't see as many yesterday. But, just kind of wanted to talk about just some storylines that I'm interested in, some that matter, some that don't. The secondary, like there's a lot of, I feel like, hype around like how the secondary's played over the first couple of days through camp. That is something that I think I'm buying into. Like I do think that there's absolutely a world where this secondary can be one of the better ones that they've had, really over the past decade. So, but I wanted to ask you guys too, what do you all think is the best Steelers secondary over the past decade? 2019 comes to mind, the Steven Nelson, Joe Hayden year with Minka. Like
you had Hilton and Sutton still both. Yeah. I mean, that's the one I think about first and foremost.
I don't even know, like, is that the best one since they went to the Super Bowl in 2010? I mean, there was a couple years after that, I think like early 2010s where they had Keenan Lewis. They still had Ike Taylor at the back end of his career. Troy was later in his career. They had Cortez Allen, who was kind of like breaking out before like injuries kind of took their toll on him. I don't know. I really do. I feel like that 2019 season really stands out because that team really had no business going 500. But I feel like the defense was really dominant that season. And not just the pass rush, but like the secondary was really good. I think that's kind of the vision that a lot of Steelers fans kind of have in their mind now with all the talent that they've kind of acquired in the secondary.
And it took a 3-game losing streak at the end of the season for them to be 5. That team was 8-5 at one point. Before a 3-game losing streak to end the season. Yeah, I mean, that to me is the one that certainly within the last decade, and I think you could go back further, like you're saying, into when you're talking about like the Super Bowl teams. For me, for best secondary. And that's, I mean, if the weak link of your secondary is Terrell Edmunds and like completely fine at the job that they were asking him to do, I no problems. I think that they were so strong across the board.
Yeah, I think the last like before that, I think 2011 or 12, maybe 2012 had like Clark, Polamalu, Ike, Keenan Lewis, and Willie Gay, right? I think. And then those pieces started to fall off, but like that was a pretty good secondary. I I think that's probably before the 19 team. For me, the next one back that you got to get to.
Yeah.
I mean, this secondary is going to. The other thing about the secondary is, it is going to be completely unique in terms of having probably the best player in the slot. I'm sure there have been teams, and you could probably argue that Ramsey's 21 Rams did that, but like the Steelers never done that. Never has the Steelers' best corner been their slot corner. My memory anyway. That's really going to be a very. Did you all see the interception that Ramsey made on the ball intended for Jonnu Smith? Have you seen that clip out there in the world?
Yeah, that got put out there. Yeah,
like there is no one else in the entire league that will ever be assigned to cover a tight end at any point this season that can make that catch. Like, it's crazy. Like, every quarterback sees a tight end there and be like, yeah, I can get that through. It's just some flat-footed linebacker, some stupid slot corner. And there's Jaylen Ramsey like, no, I got this. Like, that's so different. Nobody has a defense like that. I don't know how it's going to play out, but it's very unique.
Let me ask you a question though. This is something I was thinking about with just the base personnel. So I've seen, some of the stuff that you guys have put out about him working with the safeties a little bit.
Yeah.
I think it's obviously still really early. So getting him work with the safeties, I think is a smart thing, regardless of what their plan is when the regular season rolls around. But do you think it's let's just say that the Steelers keep their 25% base personnel usage, right? And if we're assuming that he's going to play safety in those, if he's going to be in the post, do you think that that's the best idea, or would you rather see him at outside corner at a more premium position where maybe he's got a little bit more chance to be around the ball or to take away the opposing team's best player? Do you think it's a better trade-off to have him on the field with Slay and Porter, or do you think that it's one of those things where, I think you would just rather have him at the premium position? Because I've kind of went back and forth on this.
I think a couple things here. One, I think that we might see the Steelers play 80 to 90% nickel this year. I haven't seen a dime rep yet, and there are very, very, very few base defense reps. I mean, almost none. I don't they're going to play nickel against 12. So outside of 13 personnel against them, I think they're going to have nickel on the field. So I don't think it's going to be a big chunk of reps anyway. And the one thought I have is that Thornhill has not played that much the last couple of years because he's had a hard time staying healthy. If there's one guy in the secondary that I want to limit their reps, it's him. So I think it makes sense to have one of Ramsey or Slay play some free safety if there's a time where you only want to have 4 DBs on the field. At that point, I think just get them both over there here in training camp a little bit and see how it goes. Pick whichever one you think works better. I think it'll probably be Ramsey just because he's done more moving around in his career. I think it'll probably be a little easier for him. Although, I was over there the first day and he's doing cover 2 drops and it does not look natural to him. He's going to have to work at it. But I think he's probably the one that I think will be better at it. But I get the sense that they're going to play nickel against almost everything.
I have a tough time, even thinking about assignments right now, just because Jaylen Ramsey probably, looking at all the corners right now, the top 3 at least, is probably still the best player, but they have the most riding on Joey Porter Jr. taking a leap this year. And Darius Slay, if you were just looking at 2024, probably performed the best out of the 3. So thinking about assignments right now is just very hard for me in terms of this is the guy that should be traveling with a 1 if they were to do that. This is the guy that should be doing this job. I need to see it play out, I guess, through more of training camp, and honestly could be a question we don't get an answer to even early in the regular season.
I don't think it'll have a consistent answer throughout the season. I think it'll be very different depending on the matchups. I think there'll be times where there'll be a team that doesn't have very good receivers and they'll just say left, right, slot, we're just leaving our guys there. You come at us. We think we're better. And then I think there'll be times where they're going to play, somebody with really good tight ends and not that good receivers. And they're going to say, okay, Ramsey, you go get the tight ends. There's going to be big physical receivers on the outside that they're going to want Porter to work with. And then there's probably going to be guys they're going to want to keep him away from. When Jamar Chase goes into the slot, I don't think we're going to see Joey Porter Jr. follow him there this year. I'm 100. That's not going to happen.
That's legitimately the team that I always think about. Like when I'm trying to figure out wide receiver matchups, I go to Cincinnati right away.
Well, I think you have to have a plan for Cincinnati and you have to have a plan for Baltimore, and the attacks are so different, right? Mm-hmm. Who gets Chase, Higgins, and Yoshivas, and then who gets Andrews, Likely, Bateman and Flowers. So I think it's two really different problems, and that's one of the reasons I do think the Steelers were finally willing to invest anything, but so heavily in a third cornerback, is because to find someone who can go cover Jamar Chase and then go cover Isaiah Likely, there's just only so many of those guys out there.
The one's really important too, because you think about who they're chasing in the division. I mean, the Ravens are, not just the overwhelming favorites to win the North, but clearly one of the top teams in the AFC too. So, and just looking at how they tried to play them last year, like trying to stay in a little bit more nickel, but having Ramsey in the slot gives you more physicality to kind of run with the run. And then a guy that can actually cover Likely. I mean, they didn't necessarily throw the ball an overwhelming amount, if I remember correctly, to Likely in the playoff game. But like the couple times that they did, I mean, he was just running away from Cam Sutton. And a lot of people did that last year. But, even though Ramsey's, over 30, I still don't see like too much of an athletic decline to think that that's going to be the case with Likely this year when they match up. So that is like one like early narrative that I think that I'm buying. Of course, I think there's a lot that needs to go right for them too, just with health. But I mean, you could say that really about the entirety of the roster. Like right now, they're the second oldest team in football behind Washington. I mean, you talk about how things could change week to week. I mean, the job that Mike Tomlin and this like coaching staff, the training staff, like how, cognizant they're going to need to be about like giving all these guys like enough reps to make sure that the communication's tight, but also like enough rest to make sure that nobody gets injured over the course of the next several weeks to even get to the regular season is going to be something that I'm going to be paying a lot of attention to. Luckily, it seems like, there have been some bumps and bruises. We could talk about the Broderick Jones thing, because I know you wrote about that, Alan, but this group really needs to stay healthy, especially with a lot of guys, in their 30s.
Yeah, well, all right. I guess you kind of transitioned there to the Broderick.
I did your job for you. Don't worry.
Yeah, you're not letting me steer the ship like you said you wanted me to. I actually was going to transition to something else, but you brought up Broderick, so let's just talk about that right now. Obviously, there's not like a ton of information on that. I'll be curious to see tomorrow when they throw the pads on what his participation level is going to be. But I guess this could be taking a couple different avenues. Like one, just how concerned are we about the injury itself? Of course, we don't have much information on it, but he's missing reps. And two, does this happening so early, kind of put more importance on the depth of this team or lack thereof at a position where at least some of us, me included, were kind of questioning them not adding another, guard tackle versatile player in free agency or something?
Yeah, I don't think it's a significant injury. I saw him running around. Like, seems like it's some kind of muscle pull. Those generally can linger, but it's July, so I'm not worried about the injury. I'm honestly not worried about Broderick. Like, I tried to write that, like, it's not like he's playing worse out there. Like, he's just being himself, but himself is not really good enough, and that's kind of the problem. I said a lot this offseason. I thought they should try to find a better backup tackle in case things didn't work with Broderick Jones moving to the left side. Maybe they still can. I don't know. I don't know that they want to. I think they're kind of committed to seeing this project through. I also would have left him at right tackle. So, I don't know. I don't think they've like massively mishandled him or something like that, but like, I have real questions about him as the left tackle protecting Aaron Rodgers right now. I don't see progress in solving those problems, and I don't think it's going to go well if he doesn't improve.
Go ahead, DB. You smirked, I think, 3 times there as that was being answered.
I mean, yeah, Alan's saying it about as nicely as you possibly can. It's not a big deal that Broderick is necessarily hurt right now, even though like he does need the reps, right? But it's just like they need his development to go their way this season. That's really all that that's what it comes down to, man. Like they've got a 41-year-old quarterback who doesn't move that very well at this stage of his career. Like hopefully the transition back to the left side is going to make him feel more comfortable. I'm been very vocal that I don't think that it's going to necessarily be this like end all be all fix for some of the technical stuff, especially with his hands. But you know, the more reps, the better. I don't necessarily think this like soft tissue injury is like all that big of a deal though. Especially considering it doesn't sound like it's going to be long-term, but you know, you even look at like some of the tackles that were out there, like during free agency. I mean, dude, it's really freaking hard to find guys that can play tackle in the league. And even like,
well, that's kind of like the scary thing about it, right? Like, if things go south this year for Broderick, they could be signing one of the, like a tackle of a Jaylen Moore caliber in the 26 class. Because if they're not if they're going to go quarterback in the first round, sure, you can take a tackle in the second round or something like that.
That's what matters.
Yeah. So I think that, you know, you'd be signing potentially, like you're saying, one of those contracts next year and kind of giving $15 million plus to a tackle that
Braxton Jones, somebody like that. I mean, that's the thing. Like you look at the guys, even like Braxton Jones, kind of a good segue into like guys that could potentially be available next year, right? Like Jaylen Moore, the Chiefs obviously very desperate, got obliterated off the edge really all season long. Didn't have an answer tackle. They had to go sign Jaylen Moore, who's like barely played. Like he's barely played with the Niners. This dude got 2 years, $30 million from the Chiefs. They gave him $21 million guaranteed. The NFL is just starving for offensive line tackle, and tackle talent, guys that can protect the passer. And we have a shortage of these guys that exist that are, 6'5", 320 that can guard these freaky edge rushers, So
and then, being the Chiefs, they lucked into Josh Simmons at pick 31, and it might not even be a matter
NFL.
now.
Yeah. I mean, could they I agree with you. Like Jed Wills was a guy that I kind of thought that they would be able to maybe get on the cheap, but of course, he's rehabbing an injury all this season. Could they have went out and tried to maybe bring back a guy like Kelvin Beachum as a security blanket? I mean, that would have been nice. I would have liked to have seen that, especially knowing that they don't really care about age right now on the roster, but I mean, Beacham's 35, 36 years old now at this point. I mean, even the other guys in the tackle class that signed, it's like James Hudson. He's been terrible every time I've ever watched his film. So they just have a lot riding on Broderick Jones.
I was saying Patrick McCarry, and he got $37 million or something like that over 3 years. Yeah.
And that, like you said, that's the thing is it's not just going to be an issue this year if he doesn't really put it together really quickly. It's an issue going forward to next year because we've talked all offseason about, they've accumulated all these comp picks. They've got 12 picks to spend next year's draft. They're going to probably have to use some 2020, I guess it would be 7 capital to move up and ensure they get the quarterback that they want. I mean, when you start talking about having to add another premium position like tackle, I mean, we see this play out every single April. Those guys go early and often in the draft. If you want a starting caliber tackle, it's really difficult to get one outside the first round of the draft, and they need a quarterback. So, yeah, I mean, there's hardly any player on this roster right now that is as important as Broderick Jones, and that's really scary based on the tape he's put out for 2 years.
I was waiting to see if Alan had anything to say back to that. No, I mean, I'm in full agreement. And, we talked about potentially him just staying at right tackle and wondering.
Well, I guess that's the break glass in case of emergency is if it's really not going well, you switch them. Right. That's the one thing that Mike Tomlin can do if it's.
Yinzers are going to put someone on a stake if they do that, because they will be, already know how it's going to go. It's going to be oh, you ruined 2 tackles. You ruined Troy Fautanu because you switched it back to left. Yeah, I mean, they'll go crazy over that. But, I mean, I get what you're saying. I mean, I guess as a break glass case of emergency, you might have to do it. But I don't know. They need at least one of the tackles to overachieve this year. I'll just say that. In order for them to hit the expectations that I think a lot of Steelers fans have, and a lot of the optimism that's kind of floating around Latrobe right now, they need one of these two tackles to be, pretty solid. And I know who my money is on, but, he's got to stay healthy too.
Sure. Absolutely. Big job for both those guys. You mentioned protecting Aaron Rodgers. Another part of that is Aaron Rodgers washed is something that we're going to find out this year as well. I think it's interesting, just like the point in his career where he's at. Like, I understand the level of competition that he did against the second half of last season, everything like that. But there were definitely some encouraging moments. And I thought you were able to see him like, hey, he could plant that foot again, further removed from the Achilles injury. And again, they're playing in shorts right now. But just seeing the way that the ball, like the release is obviously still there. He can still rip it. That's not going to be the question for him. It's going to be more about the lower half than the upper half and his ability to push the football down the field. DB, obviously, you put out a ton of thoughts about Aaron Rodgers. And again, 1 week in shorts isn't going to answer anything for you, but just kind of wanted to maybe get some perspective on you from where we stand here on July 28th.
Yeah, I mean, it's nonsensical to a point in terms of it trying to evaluate quarterback play in this type of setting. It just is what it is. I don't know how else to say that really, because they don't have the threat of being hit. So it's just totally different. It's 7-on-7 for those guys. So I think the stuff that really matters is, what the offense looks like from a structural standpoint, like blending Rodgers' ideas with Arthur Smith's philosophy, and then him just getting the chemistry down with his teammates. The offensive lines talked at length about, them getting used to his cadence. And then we know the receivers, like he's working with a new set of guys. There aren't any of his like carryover guys in Pittsburgh right now. So that's going to be with the hand signals. And
right. I liked how you said right now.
Right now, as of right now, we'll see how long that lasts. But yeah, I mean, it's just, to me, like keeping track of like training camp stats has always been the silliest thing that has ever come across my timeline on social media. I mean, would it be great if like Rodgers came out there and was just absolutely obliterating the Steelers defense? I mean, we could flip that on its head and say that we'd be worried about the Steelers defense if a 41-year-old quarterback was ripping them to shreds in shorts over the first week. So I'm not like, to me, your opinion on Rodgers and what he's going to look like this fall should not have changed over the last 4 days. And if it has, like, you really need to reevaluate like how you're evaluating the quarterback position, because it just doesn't matter. Like, the film is the film. We're going to get the chance to see him when live bullets start flying, and that'll either confirm our priors or change our minds, hopefully. And he'll look really good in the fall. But he's thrown 2 picks, and it's just like, I could care less. Like, I don't care if he's thrown an interception.
I do love the people that have the theory that he threw that first one on purpose to get the defense off to a hot start. Their juices flowing. That's hilarious.
He's being a good teammate. He's being a good teammate.
Yeah, trying to get rid of those.
I'll say this, like, I agree with DB that like if he was tearing up the defense, you would say, "Oh, why is the defense struggling?" But like, almost none of it. Like, yeah, you could be concerned about the interceptions, but like, they aren't hitting the dirt. They're either getting caught or the defense is breaking them up. Like, I think when you're looking at Steelers versus Steelers, that feels like a pretty solid situation. It's like either the secondary is making a play or the quarterback's completing a pass. Like you said, man, it's the world's best passing environment out there. There's no rush. Not only that, they're telegraphing every coverage. Like, nobody's rotating coverages on day one of training camp, so it's easy stuff. Somebody asked me, like, somebody said Will Howard's completion percentage is off the charts. I'm like, I'm sure it is. But, like, it doesn't mean anything. Like, everybody's completion percentage is off the charts, I hope. Like,
you better be careful, Alan. I got a flood of people in my mentions right now about Will Howard. So I will send them your direction if you don't calm down.
Bring them. Let's go.
It's probably the same people that are in the YouTube comments here. I saw what you're talking about.
It's funny, man. That hype is one of the most bizarre things I've ever experienced.
Can I just say, I want to say this because we always do this like bit about like how we hate certain players because we just view them differently than like certain portions of the fan base do. I will say this. I think it is the coolest thing ever how happy Will Howard looks every time there's a camera on him. I have no reason to believe he's like fronting either. Like I legitimately think he is ecstatic to be a Pittsburgh Steeler. I think that is like really, really cool. Like that dude. Here's the thing about Will Howard. I've said that I really do think that he could be like what Mason Rudolph has been, like a solid backup quarterback in the league who makes a ton of money and has one of the best gigs in all of America. And somehow that has turned into me not liking Will Howard. I don't know how that is the case, but then the number one job requirement for being a good backup quarterback in the league, you know what it is?
Get along.
You have to be a good hang. I think honestly, like if I had to redo our conversation from a couple weeks ago about July 4th, Will Howard is invited to the cookout. I don't even drink. I'd have a beer at Sharky's with Will Howard here in a couple weeks or here in a couple days when I'm up in Latrobe. I think he seems like a great dude.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
but he's not a good enough dude for me not to want to take a quarterback in the first round of the draft next year. Sue me if that makes me a bad dude myself, but that's all I'm gonna say. I think Will Howard is a great. I think I'm rooting like hell for him. I can't wait to see him in the preseason. He's gonna get tons of work. So
yeah,
absolutely. But yeah, training camp completion percentage. Spare me, man. I could not care less.
The other one I wanted to bring up, the other hype train that's got rolling. I don't want to blame anybody, Alan. For this one is Derrick Harmon.
Yeah, that one might be my fault.
Yeah, Alan mentioned on the podcast like separate times now, multiple times, that he doesn't want to get out in front of his skis, but Derrick Harmon might be the next great Steelers defensive lineman. Well, and he's been as impressive as a rookie as when George Pickens showed up in 22.
Well, I will also say when I called Alan earlier, he was actually at a tuck shop getting Derrick Harmon's gold jacket fitted with him. So
I was wondering where that was going.
You put that out. You put that out there on social media. I mean, I'm happy to hear that for sure. I also think like I don't think that you can really make a ton of glowing observations about trench play until pads come on for sure. But at the same time, like in terms of how the Steelers could be better this year than they have been in previous years, the bar is really low for Derrick Harmon. Like Larry Ogunjobi has been giving them next to nothing over the past couple of years. Like you look at all the efficiency metrics, like bottom of the barrel. And I just think obviously Harmon has some things I want to see him improve on. I think there's some untapped power to be unlocked within his game, but I think he's going to be a better player than Ogunjobi was last year with a lot more room to grow. So I don't want to say I'm jumping on the hype train to the point where like Allen is. Maybe I'll feel differently when I see him in person this weekend. Hopefully I will, but I am optimistic for sure.
It's funny because like in the individual drills, when you watch individual drills, like you can tell right away like who's really good and who's not. Like you take the jerseys off and I can pick TJ Watt out from everyone else like in a half a second. He's not that impressive. Like I don't think physically he's an elite athlete for his position right now. Like I think he has work to do physically. But when the whistle blows, he just goes and makes plays. Like he's blowing up run plays. He gets his arms up. He's running down screens. Like he's just everywhere. I think, and like, yeah, I agree with the pad stuff, but like none of that stuff is really pad dependent either. Like I think his pass rush moves look awesome. I'll wait to give some judgment on that until the linemen have like a fair shot at him. But I just think he makes plays in a way that I don't really ever recall a rookie lineman having that kind of impact. Like usually you get him in there and you don't notice him for like a year. I mean, he just, the fact that I've noticed him as much as I have in 4 days to me tells me like he's going to be pretty good.
And that's what I said to you, Alan, DB, on the podcast last week when we first started talking about Derrick Harmon. I mean, Friday's episode, I think I titled "Is Derrick Harmon a Future Star?" or something like that, something along those lines. But the reason that I brought up, like, absolutely, and it did really well. But while I understand what you're saying about the pads, the point that I made when I was talking to Alan about it was like, you can compare this player in this setting to a different player in the exact same setting. So while we haven't seen him in pads yet, we've seen other defensive linemen or other rookies in general playing a different spot while also not in a pad setting yet. And he's been more impressive.
In offensive line. We've seen a lot of seen 3 straight first round offensive linemen or first or second round offensive linemen come in here. And I mean, those guys weren't making that kind of impact without pads on that Harmon has been. Like, in fact, I think Harmon's kind of taken Frazier's lunch money a couple times. And Frazier was really freaking good last year.
Mm-hmm. Oh, somebody had a question, by the way. I don't know if you can speak to this, like exactly what you can tell went wrong or not, or if you asked any questions regarding it. But we did have a comment, somebody saying they saw from reporting that Frazier's had a couple of bad snaps. Was it on the exchange, the snap itself, or is there something there that is like correctable? Or are you worried about it?
Bounced a couple shotgun snaps to Aaron Rodgers in 7 shots. Frazier said he doesn't really know what happened, but they'll work on it, figure it out. Not really concerned.
But they were both in shotgun?
They're both in shotgun, yeah.
Okay.
So to me, I don't if it was under center, I may feel differently, but I don't really put a lot of stock in that. Just random. Yeah.
Gotcha. All right. Well,
the shotgun snaps were an issue the first month of the season. Like
Justin was the thing in West Virginia for him too from time to time.
But it really wasn't. Like, it got a lot better over the course of the year. Like, that was one of the things that he definitely like corrected pretty quickly. So I'm not really too worried about it either. Although I did see the video of Rodgers running after the ball. I guess it was the first one. It was kind of funny. I was like, man, I almost feel bad for him. But yeah, I'm not worried about Frazier at all or the snap.
One, he made a really nice play to go get his hands on it and pick it up and throw it away. I thought it was showing like that he does still have some usable athleticism, because it was not an easy, like it would have been easy to fall on it and lose 10 yards, but he made it actually a really nice play to pick it up and get rid of it, which I thought was actually kind of nice.
Yeah.
We've talked about, you mentioned having to reevaluate things, DB, if your stance has changed on Aaron Rodgers. I would also say, based off the offensive line conversation that we had earlier, if Zach Frazier is the offensive lineman that you are worried about right now, you may also want to reevaluate things.
Yeah. Ooh, not worried about that. Relax.
You know who else I'm not worried about, by the way? Spencer Anderson. He's been playing left guard the whole time with Isaac Seumalo out with whatever he's out with. I think Spence is throwing his hat in the ring to take that job next year right now. Like, he looks really good out there. He had a really good playoff game against the Ravens. And
Isaac Seumalo, with the way that he normally starts seasons anyway, I don't know that there's much of a drop-off at the beginning of the year now.
Yeah. I'm just saying, I feel like Spencer Anderson has like, that's a spot that I think a lot of people have circled as like, okay, this is a need for next offseason. I think he has a chance here to make some inroads on how much of a need that is, because he's playing, it looks good out there. Like, you don't notice that 73 in out there.
Show me something, Spence. Need to see it. As few positions as are set in stone needs as possible. That's what we need to have happen. But all right, before we get out of here, you guys know the drill. We'll start with DB. Tell the people they can find you.
At Steelers_DB on Twitter and on YouTube. You can find all my written work at SteelersNow.com.
And on Friday, they can find you.
And on Friday, you can find me at wherever this place is at for Friday Night Lights.
That's Latrobe Memorial Stadium in Latrobe, Pennsylvania. I'll be there with Smitty and DB. You can find me, @Saunders_PGH on X, Instagram, TikTok, and Blue Sky. PGH Steelers Now is the site's account. SteelersNow.com. Go there, read the words so we can get paid. Sign up for SN Plus. I had somebody complaining on Twitter today about the ads. Hey, you sign up for SN Plus and you get no ads, and then there's nothing to complain about. You can also like, subscribe, hit that bell for notifications here on the YouTube channel. We are at one of these numbers that you're not going to get around, really. 16,100, and Mel Blunt and that's it. I mean, Scott Shields wore it for 1 year, right? Then they gave it out for like 1 year, and it didn't go well, and they never gave it out again.
I would hate to be that guy. That
I mean, there are multiple reasons you would hate to be Scott Shields because he was a big bust of a draft pick and washed out of the league after like seasons.
Yeah, that's tough. Yeah, and nothing to do with that. But I will say, I love that it's that. I mean, the growth lately on the YouTube channel has been awesome. Like we passed 16K and it's just been booming ever since over the last few days. So shout out to everybody that's been subscribing. Still a bunch of people I'm sure that are watching that aren't. So please do so, along with liking and hitting that notification bell, hitting us in the comments, your thoughts on anything that we talked about, question for a future episode, all that good stuff. If you're listening somewhere else, leave us a 5-star review and subscribe. Just search Steelers Afternoon Drive. Do the same thing on TikTok. And then you can tweet at any of us and let us know if you want us to have black or silver Sharpies to sign autographs when we're all there for the Friday Night Lights practice. So I'm just joking. And then hit me up everywhere, Zachary Smith, PGH, Aaron Rodgers, Derrick Bell, myself. Thanks for jumping in. Take another ride on the Steelers Afternoon Drive.